Forget that we think Saleh's not a good coach. Forget that we think that they have if problems. For him, the best thing he can do is to use his ears and mouth in proportion. Think twice, talk less.
The appointments are lined up.
You waiting for somebody in there?
Got an appointment.
And it's not about what you want to hear, but what you need to hear.
It's not personal. It's strictly business. It's time you and me had a private talk, Winger. Step into my office.
It's Step Into My Office with Michael Lombardi. Mr. Lombardi, we'll see you now.
All right, it's about that time, 1:15 Eastern, 10:15 a.m., and we got a plethora of A-listers who are waiting to step into the office. The first one, New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers, who is cleared to go for OTAs in June. Why does Rodgers need to step into the office? What does he need to hear, Michael?
Well, I think what you need to tell everybody is lower expectations. Like, I know you want everybody to know you're healthy and you're back, but also manage the expectation, because we know this, Aaron, you're the only one who can do it. Your head coach is a loose cannon. He has no idea. When he gets in front of the media, God only knows what he's going to say. He can't, I mean, just how they put out that draft day video with him and Joe Douglas laughing about other people's picks when he hasn't even made the playoffs is remarkable. You're the only adult in the room, right? You're the only adult in the room. You got to act like an adult. And the best thing you can do, instead of putting more pressure on your injured Achilles and on the Jet team, is to take some of the pressure off and kind of soothe everybody, lower the expectations. What you always want to do is advance expectations, not disappoint expectations. So take a page from Warren Buffett's book. Just manage it correctly. And remind your head coach that, you know, he's not won anything. And that for him, the best thing he can do is to use his ears and mouth in proportion. Think twice, talk less. And that would really help out the Jets.
Yeah, I think that's good advice, just not for Aaron Rodgers, maybe for a lot of us out here. Think twice and talk less. The New York Jets expectations this season, 9.5 is the win total, minus 115 to the over, minus 105 to the under.
You betting it? What are you doing? What are you doing?
On paper, it looks good, but we say that the ifers, if all of these things work out, maybe they can put it together. But right now, I'm going to keep my money in my pocket and not take it to the window behind me. We're not doing it. Not yet. Maybe a little bit later.
I think the lesson there for everybody who listens here is you're investing money in May that you're not going to earn until January, if you earn it. And I think it's too risky of a prop. You have to feel 1,000% behind it to risk it, to wait that long for your money.
Yeah.
And so to me, forget that we think Saleh's not a good coach. Forget that we think that they have if problems. The reality of it is that they could go any direction. It's just there's no tangible evidence one way or the other.
Well, what about the evidence on this next player? Odell Beckham Jr. over the weekend signed with the Miami Dolphins. 1-year deal worth up to $8.25 million. Odell, now 31 years old. What does he need to hear as he enters his new venture in South Beach?
You know, one of the things, Odell, that's always beneficial, and I know it's for me especially, is when we can live our life backwards, when we can realize the mistakes we've made of our past and correct them in our future. And I think you have to take ownership for some of the things that happened. And now as you come in at 31 years old to a team that has a lot of good players, a lot of young players, you're going to have to be the leader. You're going to have to be mature. You can't go having a boat party. You can't go out there and let the Miami vibe get you, because I think that's one of the reasons you signed in Miami. Because knowing you as a competitor, you want the ball. But you're going to be the third receiver at best on this team. So obviously lifestyle was important to you to sign in Miami, along with tax-free state and the $3 million they're going to give you. So you're going to have to really take some players under your wing and show maturity, because the only chance you have to win a Super Bowl, the only chance you have to win the East, is if this team really focuses on football. And as you know better than I, there's a lot of things to do in Miami. And there's a lot of avenues to go down where trouble lurks. And you can create that. But if you stay away and you show that you're the adult, maybe the young players will follow suit and listen to you. To me, this is more about what's your character going to be like on this team than what's your talent going to be like. Because they have enough talent. They've scored enough points. They just haven't been able to be a competitively tough team against best competition. That's something that you can do based on what you do off the field.
Yeah, that no state income tax, boy, that's a nice little carrot to dangle in front of somebody right there, as Odell Beckham Jr. will be with the Miami Dolphins. All right, Philadelphia 76ers basketball of operations president Daryl Morey is speaking to the media right now in Philly. about what has to happen this offseason. What does he need to hear as he addresses the media and sort of sets forth the plan for this summer and how the Sixers can kind of improve this roster?
Really, Daryl, it comes down to then is then, now is now. And stop falling in love with then players and look at now. I think, look, you are the champion of the Sloan Conference for analytics. And you've got to really take and that's based on not having bias. That's based on numbers. And yet, when you traded for James Harden, there was only one player. You traded Ben Simmons, there was only one player you wanted, was James Harden. And so you're going to have to diversify your portfolio here in terms of what you're going to build a team. Now, look, I realize it's hard to build a team around a guy who calls himself a center, but he plays like a small forward. I get that. And I get that Maxey isn't the guy that you can just put every team on his back and win with. But it's how you construct the team. And I know for a long time in talking to you and listening to you that character and your team chemistry means nothing to you. But it better start. It better start because that's the only way you're going to win. And your career, which has never gotten to the conference, never gotten to the finals, even though you have this incredible reputation of being this incredible general manager, when you look at that, there's a reason you haven't gotten there. And it's because your team's not unified. Your team doesn't have any mental or physical toughness. And this team is lacking in that area. So my advice to you is don't sell us on we're just going to run it back with the great Joel Embiid. Don't sell us on, we got all this cap room. Sell us on being tactical and having a strategy that involves youthful players that can make a difference in May. Because you and I both know, no matter how much everybody wants to deny it in the Philadelphia area, Joel Embiid will be hurt next May. That's a given. And so you better have a team that isn't reliant upon him to carry it. And you can't have old players.
If he asked you, should I trade Embiid this offseason, what would you tell him?
I think to me it would depend on what the deal is. Look, as much as I know Embiid isn't what you want as your signature player, I think there is a way to make Embiid settle for a lesser role and bring in players where he no longer is the leader of the team. I think when we let Jimmy Butler walk out of the building, we lost that opportunity. Butler would have been the alpha male in the room.
Yep.
Instead, we listened to Ben Simmons not want him in the room. That's on Josh Harris. The brilliance of Josh Harris' organization is to listen to the players. That's why he's never produced anything in his ownership in the 76ers. So for me, it's about if you could make Embiid not the guy to carry the team, but the guy to supplement the team, I'm all for it. Because you're not going to get the value back. You just have to realize he's on the downside of his career. That knee is going to continue to bother him. He's going to have other ailments because for all the conversation about wanting him to be in shape, he's never going to it hasn't happened in 10 years that he's in shape. It ain't going to happen now. He's over in Lomport. He's 10 miles away from me right now, probably having a Shirley Temple and looking at the ocean. It ain't going to happen.
Sounds like a pleasant time. Up next, Ezekiel Elliott, after 1 year in New England, is returning home to the Dallas Cowboys. How should Zeke approach this offseason as the Cowboys running back one?
Well, I think, I don't think, Zeke, you're going to be one, but I think you're going to be a key component to the team. Short yardage, goal line, you got to put the ball in the end zone, get those tough first downs. But one thing I know about you, Zeke, your character can carry the team. And I think that's going to be really important. I think you're going to have to hold down the fort here a little bit when the tidal wave comes in. When you lose a couple games and people start to doubt the head coach, you're going to have to settle everybody down and settle the quarterback down. Even though you're not the player you once were, you could still offer some things in that locker room that can really help the team out. And you're just going to have to hold on to the football, and you got to get everybody to buy into the program because it's going to take a team to beat the Eagles. It's not going to take just one player.
Yeah, starting to already see in some sports books the Eagles becoming the favorite to win the NFC East. All right, final one. This one is NFL rookies as a whole. Rookie camp started to begin this past weekend, and they'll continue on throughout this week here. How should rookies approach this offseason? What do they need to hear as they begin their NFL careers?
Well, the first thing they need to hear is get in shape. You're not in anywhere near shape. You got to get in shape because the only way you can play is to be in shape. You can't be exhausted and catching your breath and learn how to play. That's one. Get in shape. Get in the best condition you could possibly get in. Two, you're going to have to learn a skill within the system. Just one skill. You can't learn the whole thing in 1 year. It's too hard. Master that skill. Spend extra time on your own. And then the most important thing is you got to accept the fact that you're no longer an amateur. that you become a professional and understand what professionals do and how you have to behave on the field and off the field, because you're not in college anymore. You're not in college anymore. This is a hard league. It's an unforgiving league. And if you don't become a professional quickly, the amateur status will go away and you'll be on the street.
That's really well said there.